Welcome back, everyone. Before we dive in, make sure you drop your thoughts and the lessons you took from this story in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get into it. My name is Caleb Brooks, and I am 34 years old. The conversation began in the kitchen of our townhouse, just outside Atlanta, Georgia, where the hum of the refrigerator and the hiss of the faucet were the only sound until my wife, Jasmine, said the words that felt like a switch flipping off. I was scraping leftover spaghetti into the garbage disposal when she dropped it. "I do not feel attracted to you anymore." The fork slipped from my hand and hit the sink with a sharp clatter. I did not drop it because I was shocked. I dropped it because of how she said it, like a weather report, like a grocery reminder, neutral and practiced. I turned around and found her leaning against the counter with her arms folded, face composed into something I did not recognize. It was not angry or pained, just level, rehearsed. "I appreciate the honesty," I said after a breath, not sure what else to offer that would not sound like bargaining. Confusion fluttered across her face. She straightened, then folded her arms again, as if she had forgotten what she practiced. "That is it?" she asked. "That is all you have to say? What else would you like me to say?" I asked, moving a sponge over a small circle of sauce on the counter. "You told me how you feel. I cannot argue with your feelings. I'm not going to try to talk you out of them." She shifted her weight to her left foot. "Do you not want to talk about it? About us? Talk about what specifically?" I asked, still wiping. "You have made your position clear. You said you are not attracted to your husband. I'll let the word hang there between us. I understand. It is not that simple," she said, a sharper edge shaving off the calm tone. "Marriage is about more than attraction." "You are right," I said, finally setting the sponge in the sink and turning to face her. "But attraction still matters. If you do not feel it, you do not feel it. I respect that." The silence stretched long enough to make the refrigerator hum seem louder. She opened her mouth as if to correct herself, then closed it, like a sentence crumbling before it reached air. "So what does this mean for us?" she asked at last. "That depends on what you want it to mean," I said. "I will not beg you to see me differently, and I will not pretend to be someone I am not. That would not be fair to either of us." She looked away first. Without another word, she went upstairs, and I finished cleaning as I always did. The difference was clarity. For the first time in months, maybe years, I knew exactly where I stood in my own home. That night, she climbed into bed beside me, said good night the way we always did on an ordinary Tuesday, and leaned in for a kiss. I turned my head slightly, so her lips met my cheek. She froze. "What was that about?" she asked, surprised. "You told me you were not attracted to me," I said, settling into my pillow. A goodnight kiss between spouses should probably involve some level of attraction. Would you not agree? "You are being ridiculous." "I'm being logical," I said. "It cannot be both ways. Either you are attracted to your husband, or you are not. You have made your choice clear." I could feel her eyes on me in the dark, but I closed mine. Sleep came quickly for the first time in months, heavy and complete. There's a certain freedom in knowing exactly where you stand, even when that place is not where you hoped it would be. The next morning, habit tried to run the show. I poured coffee and considered the second cup I usually brought upstairs for her. She loved that ritual. She used to say it was her favorite part of her morning. The mug sat in my hand, hot and fragrant. Her sentence from the night before echoed with a new weight. I took my coffee to the table and let the other cup remain an unused idea. She came down 20 minutes later and scanned the counter, then the table, like something had been moved during the night. "No coffee this morning?" she asked, already reaching for a mug. "Help yourself," I said, eyes on my phone. "It is fresh. You always bring me coffee in bed." That was when I thought my wife was attracted to me. I said, even and steady, "I have new information now." She stared at me as if I had switched to a language she did not speak. "You are really going to be like this?" "Like what?" I asked. "I am treating you the way someone treats a person who is not attracted to them, with respect, and without the intimacy that comes with mutual attraction." She started to say something, then stopped. "That is not what I meant." "Then think more carefully about what you do mean," I said, rinsing out my mug. "Because I am taking you at your word." I grabbed my keys. "Have a good day." It sounded neutral, like something you say to a roommate when your schedules do not overlap. When I got home that evening, Jasmine was waiting in the living room as though she had worn down a groove in the sofa cushions. I nodded hello and went to the kitchen to start dinner. Wednesday's stir-fry, the weekly rhythm we had built together. "We need to talk," she called after me. "About what?" I asked, setting vegetables on the cutting board. "About last night. This morning. Whatever this is you were doing." I sliced bell peppers with steady strokes. "I'm making dinner. Same as always." She appeared in the doorway. "You know what I mean. The coffee. The kiss. You are acting different." "How so?" I asked, not looking up from the peppers. "Distant. Cold." I set down the knife and met her eyes. "I'm treating you the way I would treat anyone who told me they are not attracted to me. Courtesy, respect, and no gestures that belong to intimacy. I never said I wanted those things to stop." "You did not have to," I said, going back to slicing. "If there is no attraction, then intimacy is inappropriate for both of us. I am being considerate of your feelings." She shifted in the doorway. "You are twisting what I said." "I'm not twisting anything. You stated your feelings clearly. I am respecting them." Dinner took 15 minutes. I made 2 plates, set them on the table, and we sat across from each other like polite strangers negotiating a truce. "So what is the plan?" she asked midway through, voice dull with frustration. "Plan for what?" "For us. For this." She gestured at the air between us. "Are you going to treat me like a roommate forever?" I put down my fork. "You set the parameters. I am just operating within them." I was being honest about my feelings. "I thought you wanted honesty." "I do. And I gave you honesty back. This is what respect for your words looks like." She pushed her food around without actually eating. "This is not what I wanted." "What did you want?" I asked. "Did you want me to beg you to find me attractive? Did you want me to promise to turn into someone you might desire? That is not how attraction works, and we both know it." "I wanted you to care," she said softly. "I do care. That is why I am not ignoring what you told me." The rest of the night unfolded in quiet. I watched a show, read a few chapters, cleaned the counters, and did not reach for her hand when she walked by. When she tried to settle against me on the couch, I shifted a few inches away, not dramatically, just enough to establish a line. "Seriously?" she asked, surprised. "Would you want someone you're not attracted to putting their hands on you?" I asked, eyes still on the screen. She moved to the other end of the couch with a breath that tried to be subtle. Halfway through the movie, she went upstairs without a good night. Friday morning found me with coffee and headlines. No second cup on the counter. No kiss on her cheek when I left. "Have a good day," I said at the door, holding the knob. "Wait," she said, stepping into the hall. "What are you doing this weekend?" "I have not decided. I will probably go to the gym. I might meet up with friends. We usually do things together on weekends." "Do we?" I asked. "Or do I plan things for us to do together?" She hesitated. "You plan most of it," she admitted barely. Then it seemed reasonable that someone who is not attracted to me would not want to spend their free time with me. "I'm making other arrangements. You should too." By Sunday night, the house felt different in the way a familiar street feels strange when a store changes its sign. Jasmine spent most of the weekend texting friends, watching television, moving from room to room as if waiting for a message to arrive. I did my errands, lifted weights, and came home to the same silence we had built together. She was in the kitchen when I returned from the gym, arms crossed around herself. "This is ridiculous," she said the moment the door clicked shut. "What is ridiculous?" "This whole thing. You are punishing me for being honest." "I'm not punishing you," I said, grabbing water from the refrigerator. "I am protecting myself." "From what?" "From investing in someone who told me they do not want what I am offering," I said, unscrewing the cap. "You said you're not attracted to me." "I heard you. I am acting accordingly." "I never said I wanted you to stop being my husband." "Did you not?" I asked. "Because attraction is fundamental to being someone's husband. At least for me." She stared at me, and something in her expression shifted, the beginning of consequence making its way through whatever script she had rehearsed. "What if I was wrong?" she asked, barely above a whisper. "Wrong about what?" "About not being attracted to you." I set my water down and studied her face. "Were you wrong? Or are you uncomfortable with the results of being honest?" She had no answer for that. Not immediately. The days that followed played out like a test. Thursday night, her sister Erica called about dinner plans for Saturday. Jasmine found me in the garage working on my motorcycle, a leather tool roll unrolled like a map on the workbench. "Erica wants to know if we can meet them at Olive Garden on Saturday night," she said, staying at the doorway long enough to be noticed. I looked up from the engine. "You should go. Have a good time." She invited both of us. I was not planning on going. What plans do you have? She asked, crossing into the garage. Does it matter? I said, tightening a bolt. Couples who are attracted to each other go to dinner together. Given your stance, pretending otherwise in front of your family seems unkind to everyone involved. She took another step in. You are really not coming to dinner with my sister? Why would I go sit across from someone who told me they are not attracted to me while I make small talk with her family? This is absurd. You're my husband. I put the wrench down and looked at her. Am I? Because in my experience, spouses are usually attracted to each other. You made it clear that is not our reality. So what exactly am I? She opened her mouth, then closed it again. We are married. Legally, yes. But without attraction, what are we? I wiped my hands on a rag. Roommates with shared bills and a marriage license. That is not true. Name one thing that makes us different from roommates, given what you told me. She hesitated. We share a bed. Do we? I asked. I've been thinking about that. It seems inappropriate to share a bed with someone who is not attracted to me. I should move to the guest room. Her face drained of color. You want to sleep in separate rooms. I think it makes sense. You should not have to share intimate space with someone you do not desire. I moved my clothes that evening. She followed me around the house from dresser to hallway like a shadow, casting questions. People will think something is wrong with us, she said. Something is wrong, I said, carrying folded shirts. You told me. What am I supposed to tell Erica if you do not come to dinner? Tell her the truth, I said. Tell her you are not attracted to your husband, and so family dinners feel inappropriate. I cannot say that. Then make something up, I said. Say, I'm not feeling well. Say I am working late. I slid the last drawer shut in the guest room and felt the new arrangement click into place like a door latch. That night, I read in the quiet of the guest room while Jasmine hovered in the doorway, arms wrapped around herself. This is insane, she said. This is the logical extension of what you told me on Tuesday. Everything I am doing follows from your statement. Couples work through problems, she said. They do not just give up. What problem are we solving? I asked. You cannot negotiate attraction. Friday morning, she was already at the kitchen table when I came down for coffee, her empty mug cupped in both hands like she needed its shape even without heat. I call my sister, she said without looking up. Good. I hope you enjoy dinner. I told her you cannot make it because you are not feeling well. That is easier than the truth, I said. She finally met my eyes. Is this what you want? Separate bedrooms, separate lives, separate everything. What I want does not matter here, I said, pouring coffee. You set the boundaries when you told me you are not attracted to me. I am respecting those boundaries. You are my husband, she said again, like she could summon its meaning by saying it out loud. What does that mean to you? I asked. Because right now it sounds like you want all the benefits of having a husband without the attraction that usually comes with marriage. She stared into the empty mug for a long time. I did not know what I want. When you figure it out, let me know, I said. Until then, I will treat you the way someone treats a person who does not want them. The weekend framed her loneliness in stark relief. She went to dinner alone with Erica. She came home early. She wandered the house like she had misplaced a sound. I kept my routines. The gym, lunch with my friend Devin at a diner down the road, a few hours with the bike. Sunday afternoon, she knocked on the guest room door. Come in, I said. She entered with 2 mugs of coffee and an expression I had not seen on her face in years. Vulnerable. Uncertain. She passed me one and sat in the chair by the window. Can we talk? She asked. Really talk this time? I am listening, I said. I've been thinking about what you asked, she began. About whether I miss you, or whether I just miss what you do for me. And I think you might be right. She took a breath that shook a little. I think I got comfortable. I think I stopped paying attention. When I said I was not attracted to you anymore, I think what I meant was I forgot how to see you. That does not make much sense to me, I said. Attraction is not homework. You either feel it or you do not. What if routine buries it? She asked. What if I stopped seeing you as the man I married and started seeing you only as the person who brings me coffee, plans weekends, and fixes leaks? What if that made me lazy? I considered her words. So you were saying you were attracted to me, but forgot to notice it. I am saying I confuse being comfortable with being uninterested, she said. When you stepped away, I felt the absence of you. Not just the coffee or the plans. You. That brings us back to the question, I said. Do you miss me, or do you miss what I did for you? Both, she said. but not the way you think. When you stopped bringing coffee, I was annoyed. When you stopped planning weekends, I was frustrated. When you moved to this room, I was angry. But somewhere in there, I started really looking at you again. You are the same person I married. You are attractive. You are thoughtful. You are strong in the ways that matter. I stopped noticing. And when did this revelation happen? I asked. Yesterday morning, she said. You left to meet your friends, and I was standing in the kitchen with pancakes getting cold. I realized I made breakfast for a man who had no obligation to eat it with me, because I had told him I did not want him. So you are attracted to me, I said. Now. Yes. Since when? I asked. I did not know how to answer that, she said, uncomfortable. Here is the problem, I said. On Tuesday, you were certain you were not attracted to me. Today, you are certain you are. The only thing that changed is that you experienced a week where I respected what you said. That makes your attraction feel conditional. It feels dependent on my behavior rather than who I am. Is not all attraction conditional to some extent? She asked quietly. You like what you like. Maybe physical attraction, I said. But we are talking about whether you want to be married to me as a person, not just whether you like my shoulders when I take the trash out. I do not know how to answer that, she admitted. Let me ask it differently, I said. If I went back to coffee and bed, weekend plans, and sleeping beside you, how long before you took it for granted again? I would not, she said quickly. How do you know? I asked. Because this week frightened you? What happens in 6 months when the fear fades? She had no answer for the way time erodes intentions. I stood and looked out the window at the small square of backyard where the sunlight cut clean lines through the fence. I have been thinking about what this all means, I said. About where it leads. I think we need to be honest about what our marriage has become. We have been roommates playing spouses. Your comment about attraction only made that plain. She went pale. Are you saying you want a divorce? I want to be married to someone who wants me, I said. Not someone who wants what I provide. Someone who wants me. I do, she said. I want you. Do you? I asked. Or do you want to avoid the discomfort of losing the arrangement that made life easier? She had no quick answer. Silence stretched, thin and tight. I called an attorney on Friday. I said evenly. I have an appointment on Wednesday to understand our options. She stood so fast the chair jolted. You cannot be serious. I'm serious, I said. Because whether we admit it or not, we are already living like divorced people. I told you I made a mistake, she said. I told you I am attracted to you. After you lost the benefits, I said. That is not the same as wanting me. She swallowed. What happens now? Now we stop pretending, I said. The appointment is at 2 o'clock on Wednesday. If you want to save this marriage, you have until then to decide whether you want me or you want the idea of marriage. She sat in the guest room after I left, looking at the door like it might open in reverse. For the first time in more than a week, I felt like I was moving toward something rather than circling the same point on the floor. Wednesday came quickly. I was drinking my coffee at 7 in the morning when she appeared fully dressed, which was not her usual pace. I've been thinking, she said, voice steady in a way that made me listen. I think you're right about most of it. I did take you for granted. I did get lazy, and I probably would do it again. I nodded and waited. But I also think you already decided, she said. You scheduled that appointment before we had these conversations. You had already let go of our marriage before I tried to hold on. She was right. So what happens now? She asked. Now we stop pretending, I said. If you do not want a divorce, I cannot promise the marriage you want. I can only promise honesty. And my honesty is that I am done. Tears gathered, and she did not wipe them away. What if I promise to change? She asked. What if I promise to never take you for granted again? How many promises like that have any of us kept? I asked. Not because we lie, but because we overestimate our ability to be different than we are. So that is it, she asked. 6 years, and it is over. It is acceptance, I said. You told me something that revealed how you see this marriage. It showed me I'm optional to you. The moment the consequences arrived, you tried to retract the words. That tells me they were not carefully considered. I grabbed my keys. The meeting is at 2 o'clock. I will ask for uncontested papers. We can split things fairly and move forward. What if I do not sign? She asked, following me to the door. Then it will take longer, but we will end up in the same place. Is there anything I can say to change your mind? You could have said you were attracted to me and meant it, I said. You could have said it before you lost what came with it. Saying it now is like trying to hold smoke. I paused at the door. For what it is worth, I hope you find someone who excites you without effort. Someone you do not have to remind yourself to appreciate. What about you? She asked. I will be fine, I said. There are people in the world who will not hesitate about whether they want me. 3 months later, the divorce was final. Jasmine kept the house. I took my motorcycle, the things that were mine, and enough cash to start again. The process moved quickly once she realized I was not bluffing. On a warm Saturday, 6 months after the papers were stamped, I ran into her in a Target in Atlanta, in front of a freezer of mixed vegetables and frozen dinners. She looked different in the diffuse store lighting, like the edges had softened and blurred. When she saw me, her face went through several expressions before landing on a bright, brittle smile. Hey, she said, maneuvering her cart in front of mine. How have you been? Good, I said. How about you? Great, she said. Really great. Work has been intense. You know how it is. She kept touching the ring finger that was bare now, as if muscle memory took time to fade. I have been meaning to call you. About what? Just to talk, she said. About us. About everything. She lowered her voice like the freezer doors had ears. I think I made a huge mistake. I moved her cart a few inches to get to the shelf. You made the decision that made sense to you at the time. I was wrong about the attraction thing, she said. I realize that now. Okay, I said. She blinked, waiting for something more. That is it. Just okay. What else would you like me to say? I asked. That you miss me too. That maybe we could try again. That you think about me. I looked at her. The desperation had a sound, even in the quiet of a store. I hope you find what you are looking for. What if what I am looking for is you? She asked. Then you should have thought about that before you discarded it. I said. Her face flickered. It has been hard, she said. Dating is miserable. Men my age are divorced or never married for reasons that become clear. The good ones are taken. I'm sure you'll figure it out, I said. Will I? She asked. Because I had a good one, and I ruined it. I compare everyone to you, and it makes everything worse. That sounds like something you will need to work through, I said. You are different, she said quietly. Colder. I'm the same, I said. You cannot take me for granted anymore. That is the difference. She waited a moment longer, as if a door might reopen if she stood in front of it long enough. Then she pushed her cart away without another word. I finished my shopping and drove back to my new apartment, a small place with sunlight in the mornings and room for my tools in the hall closet. It is a clean life. The kind where no one stands in the kitchen and tells you they are not attracted to you. No one tries to pull backwards after they do not like the consequences. I picked up new routines, and I kept the old parts that still fit. Morning runs, coffee at the table, an honest look at myself in the mirror that is both kinder and less forgiving. About a month before I saw Jasmine at Target, my friend Devin had set me up with his cousin Kayla. We met for coffee near Piedmont Park and wound up walking until the lights in the trees came on. She is sharp and funny, with a quiet confidence that does not need prompting. She laughs at my small jokes and challenges my big assumptions. She texts first sometimes, and I do not have to interpret silence as a paragraph. We're taking it slow. There is no rush to name something that does not yet need a name. What I do know is that she looks at me like there is no calculation behind it. She does not need to convince herself to want me. She just does. It is a relief beyond what I knew to hope for. There are moments when I wonder if Jasmine found someone who makes sense for her. I do not ask Erica. I do not check social media. That curiosity dries up before I reach for my phone. Her life is her life now. Her problems ended where our marriage ended. I did what I said I would do. I respected the words that started it all. I took them at face value and followed them where they led. It was not a performance. It was not a punishment. It was me choosing not to argue with someone else's heart. That is the part no one tells you about endings. That sometimes the cleanest break is not the loudest, most dramatic one. Sometimes it is a fork hitting a sink and a man deciding to believe a sentence spoken in a quiet, ordinary kitchen. The townhome is not mine anymore. The coffee maker is in some other rhythm. The guest room is just a room. The motorcycle still starts on the second turn, and the acceleration still lifts my chest the way it always did, clearing out the static. There's a road in the early morning that runs past the city, and on it I feel the shape of my life fitting my ribs the way it is supposed to. When people ask what happened, I do not give them a speech. I say our marriage ended because we wanted different things, and that is true enough. The details belong to the two of us, sealed in rooms where the light fell at a certain angle on a Tuesday night. If there is a lesson, it is not complicated. Believe what people tell you about how they feel, even when it is inconvenient. Respect words without trying to reshape them into something that makes you more comfortable. It is not romance that holds a marriage together. It is the quieter commitment of wanting each other without prompting, of choosing each other without keeping score. Kayla asked me once, sitting on a bench in a small park in Midtown with a cup of ice cream sweating in her hand, whether I was still angry. I thought about it for a while before answering. Anger implies something was taken from me without my consent. In truth, I was given information, and I acted on it. There's grief in that. There's relief, too. Both can live in the same house without arguing. We walked by a fountain that evening, and she took my hand. It was a simple thing, a direct signal, no confusion attached to it. I squeezed her hand back and felt that small, certain current of being chosen for exactly who I am. No persuasive work required. In another version of my life, the conversation in the kitchen would have become a long, messy negotiation. In this one, it became a line I could not cross without losing the part of myself that refuses to beg for affection. I am grateful for that line. It kept me honest when honesty was the only thing I could trust. Not long ago, I pulled up to a red light on Ponce de Leon Avenue with the evening sun turning the buildings the color of old copper. I caught my reflection in a storefront window, a man on a bike, visor down, posture relaxed. My name is Caleb Brooks, and I am 34 years old. I am fine. Better than fine, actually. There is a whole world of people who will never hesitate over whether they are attracted to me, and I am learning how to be one of them. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, and share this video with your friends. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a powerful story drop.